Trevor Lotz asks, is there a world where we trade Pickens for Adams without giving up draft compensation? Not sure. That's a good question. Actually, that's a great segue into what I wanted to talk about next before we get into this Steelers Raiders Week 6 preview, because there's some stuff going on with this Davante Adams trade. Things are starting to heat up a little bit. I saw a report that the Raiders are trying to get this thing finalized in the next 48 hours. So watch out. But also the fact that the Steelers, by kind of just sitting back and doing nothing, may have increased their chances of landing Davante Adams, considering every other team that's interested has kind of been on this roller coaster ride. You got the Jets; they just fired their head coach. Now, I honestly don't think that is affecting their intent of trying to trade for Davante Adams, because Davante Adams wants to go to the Jets, and the Jets want Davante Adams because Aaron Rodgers. I don't think Robert Saleh was the X factor in that equation. So I still think the Jets are probably heavy players and probably the favorite on Davante Adams' list. But that type of turmoil, that type of turnover and just chaos, I don't think helps the Jets getting Davante Adams necessarily. I don't think it hurts because Aaron Rodgers is still there, but doesn't help. And then the Saints was the second team on Davante Adams' top trade list because of Derek Carr. He's out for multiple weeks with an oblique injury. So I think we could safely cross the Saints off the list. And after that, you got the Steelers. I know the Ravens are in the mix. Are the Chiefs still in the mix? But I don't think the Chiefs are truly in the mix because they're in the AFC West. I don't think the Raiders are going to trade Davante Adams to their division rival. So, man, I think it comes down to us and the Jets and maybe the Ravens. The Steelers have apparently expressed that they're willing to put out a serious offer, legitimate, aggressive offer to get Davante Adams. You got guys on the team like Cordarrelle Patterson trying to recruit him over Twitter. Deshaun Elliott, I saw today, was doing an interview with the Steelers channel, and he said he really wants to get Davante Adams. He said he'd be willing to sell his car. I don't know what selling his car has to do with getting Davante Adams, but he'd be willing to sell his Mercedes G-Wagon to get Davante Adams here. So the players, the Steeler players would be all for getting Davante Adams. They think he's a good leader. They think he'd be a great teammate, a great fit here. And obviously the Steelers front office and management think he'd be a good fit because we need the receiver help. And obviously we've been interested in receiver over the last 6 months. Davante's out there. Raiders are trying to get this trade done because obviously Davante is not playing with the Raiders anymore. It's, as Antonio Pierce said, status quo. He's going to be out this week. So he played his last snap as a Raider 3 weeks ago. I think it's completely over. Now they're just trying to get the best compensation. But now I'm seeing that because of Davante's contract situation, teams really aren't that interested in giving up a second-round pick. It might be more like a third-round pick unless the Raiders take on a portion of Davante's contract going forward. So I think the Steelers are really in the mix here. And does it take us trading Pickens to get Adams? I don't know if it has to take that. Now, if Pickens doesn't clean up his act, then I'm for that because I don't think it would be good for the Steelers to have Pickens around. Whether or not we get Davante Adams or not, I think it's just a toxic vibe. It's a cancer to the locker room that you don't want one way or another. But if we do end up trading Pickens, getting a Davante Adams in return would help with our wide receiver woes. But if Pickens can turn it around here, man, maybe this is the last straw for him. Maybe he comes to some sort of realization that he needs to be on the straight and narrow. If we can keep Pickens and get Davante Adams, that's the best of both worlds. That's what we ultimately want here. We want a bona fide receiver across from Pickens to stress out the defense and just make our offense that much better, but that much more of a threat in multiple avenues, whether it's the run game and the pass game, because not having as good of a passing threat and not having as good of receiver weapons hurts us in the run game, and kind of like vice versa, because we're struggling in the run game right now, not having Jaylen Warren and Cordarrelle Patterson. So that's kind of where we're at. Hopefully we can get Davante Adams. Is anyone against getting Davante Adams? Like, I get the contract situation isn't optimal. We do have Omar Khan. I have faith in him being able to make things work. I don't think the price is going to be too high. I haven't heard anything higher than a second round pick to get him. But like I said, the most recent report is saying that teams are hesitant on the second round pick. The market might actually be more close to a third round pick. Ethan Leach says, Deke, Raiders head coach Pierce said that Adams would play when he's healthy. He's a Raider. Is that just for media? I think that is just for media to help their leverage, because Pierce and the Raiders don't want to fully admit that Adams is done here and the situation is too far gone, because that would hurt their leverage and what they can get in a trade package, because the other teams that are interested in Adams know that, oh man, you guys aren't going to have Adams on this team anymore. Like, he's in the tank. This relationship's completely over. How about a fourth round pick instead of a third? How about that? So I think the asking price from Adams would be going down if other teams knew for a fact that Adams was done being a Raider. That's what I think it is. I think it's a leverage play. Justin 23 Bates says, agree wholeheartedly. We got to get Pickens the ball earlier and keep him involved. He's proven he's a detriment to the team if the ball ain't in his hands a decent amount. But that's a problem right there, man. Because you see what Pat Fryermuth's attitude is when he's not getting all the targets that he wants. He said he still works his ass off. He trusts the coaches. He's going to do his best out there for his team. Like, that can't be the circumstances for Pickens to give 100%. It can't be that we're targeting him 15 times a game. If we don't, he's going to be unhappy. It's just not being a good professional. It's not being a good teammate. Can't have that. I agree. We do, but we do got to get Pickens the ball more, for sure. We should. He's our most talented guy on offense. But if the game plan's different, if the flow's different with the offense and you're not getting the amount of targets that you want, bro, you got to be a professional. You got to be a good teammate. Justin 23 Bates also says, I think if we give Pickens involved in a similar fashion to CeeDee Lamb, he'd be a completely different player on the field with his actions. Yeah, but again, every game is going to be different. Every game, we're not going to be able to get Pickens the ball as much as he wants. We can't be walking on eggshells with our offensive game plan and what we do series in, series out. Parker Zero says, at this point, I'm good with trading any of our wide receivers and possibly a mid to late round pick for Adams. So you're throwing Pickens in there too. I am as well. If Pickens doesn't turn it around, which I don't think it's a guarantee that he will turn it around. We're year 3 into this, and it doesn't seem like anything's changed. We've gone through different quarterbacks, coordinators, and still the immaturity pops up. But if someone can guarantee me 100% Pickens from this point on, he's going to be on his best behavior. He's going to be what a franchise receiver is supposed to be. Great teammate, all that stuff. Then I'm not trading Pickens for Adams. I'm not trading Pickens at all. I want to get Adams with Pickens. And Adams could be a good mentor for a guy like GP too. Uno Creation says, we need Adams and Thomas. So you'd want to sign Michael Thomas if we get rid of Pickens. We still need another receiver. Yeah, trading Pickens doesn't help our wide receiver woes. That's the other thing. It could clear out some of the negativity or bad vibes, but our receiver situation gets worse by trading Pickens and not getting someone like Davante Adams in return, for sure.